Hi,
All right, we're
everyone.
live.
We're live. I'm Utkarsh here with Arjun. Um, on Network Capital, nothing gives us more happiness than celebrating the success of our subscribers, especially the ones that have been there with us from the very beginning. I think many of you already know Arjun. He's a key stakeholder of the Network Capital ecosystem, and he's somebody who I call as a dear friend and somebody who's a giver who's never burnt out. So he's now here to share a very special announcement. So let's hear it from you, Arjun. What's the big news today?
Yeah, so Utkarsh, I think happy to share it first on the NC community as well, and I think this community has given me both in my personal journey and professional journey a lot. And as all of you know, I founded and built a company called Dr. Vedyas, grew it to one of India's largest Ayurveda brands online, more than 1.5 million customers across 16,500 pin codes. And happy to announce that we exited Dr. Vedyas yesterday. So our investors, RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, bought the brand, and yeah, so that's the big news from what happened yesterday. But the more exciting thing, and what I'm here to share today as well, is that at NC, our goal is to be able to enrich and give the maximum value to our subscribers. And I think the first thing that Utkarsh and I discussed when we were discussing what was happening with Dr. Vedyas as well was, can we craft something that adds value to our NC subscribers from this event? And so, Utkarsh, the other big share for today from you.
Yeah, the other big share is that Arjun loves to teach. And I've been having lots of brainstorming sessions with him and Trisha, his partner, about how best we can share the lessons of, a successful exit. So we've now here to announce the D2C Fellowship, the Network Capital D2C Fellowship, curated by Arjun and Trisha. They are people who've intimately understood the ecosystem and are now here to share everything it takes for you to build and scale a D2C brand. And it's just so fresh that you're hearing all of this first to Network Capital, but I've seen the blood, sweat and tears that both of them and the entire team have put in to make this day possible. I've been to their office multiple times. I've interacted with the colleagues who do a lot of strategic work at Dr. Vedyas. So it's a very special day, and there's no greater gift than sharing. And I'm very glad that Arjun has come forward to share the insights of building and scaling a brand. On Network Capital, our thesis is never that, there's nothing is a victory lap, nothing is a reason to drown in sorrow. It's all a journey towards, another day. So while Arjun has a lot to look up to, a lot to look forward to, I think what he has most is lots to share. So tell us, Arjun, what do you have for us in the D2C fellowship? How are you feeling most of all? Tired, excited, bittersweet, feel like jumping up and down? What's it like?
Yeah, so I think Utkarsh, as you said, right, I'm not one to bask in victory. I'm not one to drown as much in sorrow. I think it's all part of a journey, and it's nice to have an outcome to something you've put a lot of effort in. But I think most importantly, what I'm most excited about is, when we went out to build in 2017 and 2018, people were questioning whether online brands or online only or digital first brands could be created. And that's the problem that we were solving in 2017, 2018 is, will customers come online? Will customers buy from us? Will all of these things happen? I think the world has changed significantly. And with the pandemic, as well as with what's happened over the last 5 years, I think it's a given that brands will be built online and using e-commerce, and at least in many parts of the world, this is now sort of commonplace, right? And so I think the next real sort of powerful brands will be built using the digital ecosystem, right? Whether it's a mix of online or offline, whether it's online only. And that's what I'm here to share, because the real power of what we built at Dr. Vedyas was not the sales, it was not raising capital, it was not the exit, it was about giving access to consumers, right? So if I break it down, we did 1.5 million plus orders across 16,500 pin codes in India from one warehouse or one location or one head office. And that's really the power that digital FMCG and D2C brands have. And that's what sort of empowers and excites Trisha and I, because it's now giving you access to those consumers in Anantnag, Muzaffarnagar, Trichy, Imphal. I'm talking about remote parts of India, but we're also talking about remote parts of the world. You can be a brand sitting in India and be fulfilling orders in Croatia and Latin America from where you are in India, right? And that's the real power of what we're here to talk about. So I think the D2C fellowship is an immersive experience into all the aspects of building a brand in the consumer space, stuff that's fresh in our minds, but also not about philosophizing, about really giving you real world insights and sort of real world actionables into building this brand. So as we were on our way out of Dr. Vaidya's, and over the last couple of weeks, Trisha and I have actually written down a playbook of all our learnings, and Utkarsh and I discussed this at length as the journey was sort of progressing to this. And so we've written out this playbook and sort of divided into 8 modules, covering all the aspects of a brand, of building a brand online, right? So product, brand, content, website, third-party channels, retention marketing or customer retention, supply chain, ops, logistics, and then team culture and being able to hyperscale the brand. And the idea is that for Trisha and I, now that we're sort of complete with this part of our journey, I think for the next 6 to 9 months, or for the next period, however long it is that we find what our next calling is, what's motivating and exciting us now is we built this playbook in Dr. Vaidya's. We did it with one company, but there is a whole set of really powerful brands to be created going forward, right? I feel like the next 5 years have so much more to offer than what the last 5 years had for digital brands or online brands or omni-channel brands. And so for us, our goal is, can we, over the next 6 to 9 months, empower more than 100 entrepreneurs with this playbook, with these insights and with this knowledge? Because I think for us, that's what really will excite us. And so that's what this fellowship is all about. It's about spending time and giving to entrepreneurs real world feedback instead of philosophizing, and showing you the path that could save you time, effort, and energy, stuff that we had to spend time, effort, and energy on, and helping you sort of kickstart your journey into building the brand.
Yeah, I love the curriculum. And my only request is that you add a module on resilience. I remember your masterclass in the middle of the pandemic where you walked us through micro case studies of resilience at Dr. Vaidya's at the time. And what are the case studies that were coming out? What were you observing on the ground? And some of your wonderful colleagues who also happen to be my friends and Network Capital subscribers also did something really interesting together. I'm sure largely learning from the wonderful experience they've had working with you. But one session on resilience, please, because as an entrepreneur or as a creator, you can't build anything if you can't weather the storm.
No, I agree with you. And I think the last year has taught us that. I think grit, resilience, and being able to fight through the tough times is part parcel of the entrepreneurship experience. And it will be part of the culture part that we cover in the fellowship. So yeah, 100%.
Awesome. And Arjun, I know that building this company, building this was, a part of your, your history, how you identify yourself. And, a lot of like everybody on Network Capital knows you as, the person behind the iconic brand. In the fellowship, perhaps you also want to explain the origin of brands. Like, how do brands scale? How do brands add trust? How does trust sometimes augment? How does trust dilute itself? Give us some case studies of what you've observed in other folks. Give us a sense of how D2C entrepreneurs look at the competitive landscape and what might the learnings be. These are some questions that our subscribers sent me, so I'm reading it out as they appear on my screen.
Sure. So Utkarsh, I think in module 2, which is what we'll be sort of working through, or the second part of what I said, which is brand. While I didn't go into detail, the reality is that a brand is equal to a person, right? And so like you and me, a brand has a personality, a brand will do certain things, won't do certain things. And so if you view a brand as a living being with attributes where it may not do certain things, it may not be right for the brand. That's how I view the brand. And I think that that's the power of building long-lasting brands, being core to your vision and long-term goals. And I think I've said this earlier on a Network Capital event as well. We had a session with Amit Agarwal, who's the country manager of Amazon for India. And he said a very beautiful thing, right, in relation to brands. And he was speaking to 50 brand founders who are building brands using the Amazon ecosystem. And he said, look, for all of you brand guys, one piece of advice, and this has stuck with me and something that means a lot to me. He said, be very rigid about your goal, but flexible about the path to the goal, right? And so if you think about a brand as well, think about scaling a mountain. You have to get to the peak of that mountain. But the route you choose to get to the peak may change as you go along, right? And so if there's a landslide on one route, you may go to a different side of the mountain, but you still have to get to that. That's how I think about the brand. Be core to your vision of who you are as a person, and then sort of go along with the journey.
Yeah. One of the days I remember in the past month or two was when I think you were on the Amazon homepage, and somebody on Network Capital shared it. And it was a very proud moment for all of us to see one of our subscribers, key stakeholders of the ecosystem, get on perhaps the most popular site or among the most popular sites in the world. So was that the highlight of building what you guys built, or this was just another milestone? How did you feel? How does an entrepreneur essentially look at success?
I've been thinking about this a lot, right? And look, as an entrepreneur, you get to live your dreams, right? In some sense. Like I remember sitting in the Taj in Bombay in our office when I was in private equity and watching CNBC TV18 because that was on at the office all the time, right? Following the market, etc. And just thinking to myself, one day maybe I'll be on this channel, reading the Economic Times, thinking one day. I think that's the beautiful part of entrepreneurship, that you really get to live some of these dreams that you think are like unachievable, or you really look up to it. But once you're in it, right, and you get recognition and you have those good days, and you also have really, really sort of difficult days as well. But I think if you ask me what the real success of Dr. Vaidya's is, it's the customers. And I'll give you one anecdote that sort of shows the power of the brand. And for all brand founders, this is what you're really creating. This is the amazing value you're doing, right? So it was the height of lockdown. I think this was May, when almost everything was shut, and we were still going into the warehouse to fulfill orders because there were a lot of customers who wanted medicine, and we had to be there at this time. And there was a doctor who came to the office. He came from pretty far away, and he came to the warehouse gate, and he said, I want this medicine and stuff. So I had personally gone to give this medicine to him. And I asked him for his mobile number, because we track all our customers by mobile number. And I put down his mobile number in the system, and I said, so you're not a customer in our system. So you came all the way from so far. You could have easily ordered this online. So why did you come from so far away? And he said, actually, I'm not a customer. I'm a family doctor. And my patient is your customer. And she wants one of your medicines, but she's too scared to get COVID and not able to travel because it's the peak of lockdown. But she needed your medicine and couldn't wait till she would get it from online. So she sent me here all the way. And that's the real stories that you see as a brand owner, where you say, hey, it's so much more and means so much to people. And I think those 1.5 million customers, reaching to those 1.5 million households, going deep into this country and giving access to people to this amazing science of Ayurveda, and fulfilling that dream of my grandfather from a clinic to millions of customers, that's the real sort of value that we created. And all of the other things are just means to an end. But I think if you ask me, reflecting back, that's the real value.
The stories in the journey, 100%. I look at everything else as a statistic. And at the end of the day, statistics are not memorable, stories are. That's the whole point of many wonderful books that I've written. And it's, running Network Capital, that's also something that I've realized. Essentially, what you remember are the stories. For me, I'll never forget the feeling of walking into your office, dressed up a bit too formally, because I was heading for a formal event after that. And then seeing your grandfather's thing, it was an office, and then seeing Trisha and you and your entire team. it was an indescribable feeling. It wasn't about the metrics and it wasn't about anything else. It was just me in seeing you all early days trying to build something interesting, and here we are. I'm really looking forward to the D2C fellowship because I think both you and Trisha are extraordinarily good community folks, but also you're both very good teachers. And I know you all individually. I've met you, interacted with you, and I'm really excited to see what our fellows learn and what people, anyone who's interested in the D2C space learns. What's your what's your advice on the kinds of people who should attend? I've booked both of you for the Network Capital Summer School for kids. So now
Yeah.
you have to teach entrepreneurship to kids. But for this fellowship particularly, who should apply? We don't want to make it a very mass thing. So we want to get people who are registered and take the most serious applicants in.
Yeah.
So who do you
Yeah.
think should apply?
Yeah, so I think it'll be three kinds of people, Utkarsh. People who are existing, running an early stage brand and want to figure out how to hyperscale it or grow it. People who are wanting to start a brand in the D2C or e-commerce space and just want a sort of 101 on doing that. And the third would be people who work in the ecosystem. So let's say you work at a digital marketing agency or you work at a logistics company that works with these brands. Those kind of people would be interesting for them to see what it takes to build a brand so they can service their brands better. So if I would pick three kinds of people, it would be people who want to start brands, people who have started brands and want to hyperscale, and then people from the ecosystem who want to just get more dope so they can service the ecosystem better.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Um, and lastly, the duration can vary, but how much time do you think a student should put in to get the most value out of the fellowship? Tentatively, how long do you think this fellowship will be?
Yeah, I think it depends on sort of the participants and what the buy-in is. But I think that 6 to 8 hours should be good to get through the material. And then we're always happy. And I think the real value is created outside the classroom. So while we go through the material, office hours and spending time with Trisha and me on specific doubts, problems, that's where sort of real sort of queries and questions and problems will be answered. But I think 6 to 8 hours should be good enough to get through the material. And then, as you know, we're always available to speak to folks from NC and get through their specific queries.
Yeah, absolutely. So really looking forward to this year because this cohort-based fellowships have been massively successful on our community. People realized in the midst of the pandemic that just content doesn't cut it, just mentorship doesn't cut it. You need to combine both of them and create an experience. And most importantly, create the community of learners so that the process is less lonely. Just want to congratulate you both and your entire team for this incredible milestone, but also, the next step that'll come. And all the very best as teachers. May lots of people learn from you in the times to come. And of course, Network Capital and Arjun and Trisha are always one team. We're thrilled to partner with anything and everything you will ever do.
Thanks so much, Utkarsh, and excited to have many folks from the community gain value from whatever little we have to offer, and excited to build the community even further.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Take care and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.